Hi, my name is Jonathan Beltran, and this is a video for Sprint4 for the Go Dutch project. In this sprint, I was working on refactoring all the routes from using a regular API route with RESTful state to using the socket to service everything. And so, in this example, I'll show you how sign-in works much more differently. So, over here we can see that we're using token-based authentication now instead of the checking the cookies to see if we signed in previously. And also, for sign out, what I do is I send the client a fake token, and when I refresh, you're going to see that he's trying to connect with an empty token. So if we go back to signing in, I'll show you all the server messages in a second, but an issue that I've resolved is that whenever you would refresh the page, it would forget that you were signed in. And if you saw initially, it shows in the initial sign-in screen, there's a promise that happens so that when you relog, it'll save the token that you got in the initial sign-in and then check if the token is still valid. So when I sign out, I'm still signed out. Here's how the sign-in works in the backend. I authenticate regularly like we did before in our RESTful state, but instead of returning a cookie, I either return an unsuccessful login error as a message or the token itself that you're going to need to be able to log in again. The way this is accomplished is by this new library, socketio-jwt, which stands for JSON Web Token. And when you try to connect, I wait for a handshake and the token itself. And then when you connect successfully, I return the message that you saw there about the welcome. What this allows us to do is to change our routes from these server routes into these socket routes, so that we can have the socket send messages just like before with our RESTful API, but we'll have them responding in real time. This is the part of the application where we saw the persistent login, so that when I refresh the page, the first thing I check is if the client was still connected through our storage service and our socket service. So in our storage service, all we do is save the token on the client side, and also when he signs out, all we do is invalidate that token so that when we refresh the page, it's just an invalid token and we get disconnected from the server automatically. On the socket side, the way that we verify is that the server will respond with an error of a reason they were rejected or a reason that they got successful login. And the way that we respond to this message is here, where we set that the user's already logged in and we control the MIPE trip, or that he's not logged in and that something went wrong in the login. Essentially, however, the main point of the sprint was to be able to set this up, and now for any future development, if you want to make new routes, you would make them through the socket instead of the server. Thank you, and this is all the work I've done for Sprint4.